Today I'm talking to Anna Flowerday from Te Whare Ra. And Te Whare Ra is a very established winery down in Marlborough and doing great things. In fact, I want to start by congratulating you for making the top wineries list, Anna. Well done.
Thank you, Bob. Yes, very chuffed to be in such a luminary lineup. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know that Jason. I should have said that Anna's winemaker and Jason's winemaker, but he does most of his winemaking, I think, in the vineyard, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. It's been a real, I guess, philosophy for us is that we wanted to grow it ourselves as well as make it ourselves because we think we can make a big difference that way. So yeah, he's everyone says I'm the multitasker, but I think he probably officially deserves that title.
Yeah. I've often wondered whether two winemakers, particularly husband and wife winemakers, how the dynamics work. Is it all sweetness and light, or is there moments of tension?
Most of the time we get along. I'd have to say, I think the only reason it works is probably about 95% of the time we do agree. But yes, making wine with your spouse has its moments, and also we're both a bit type A and are both Leos, so we both like getting our own way, and we always think that we're right. So I'm sure there's a few times there, but then yeah. So winemaking wise, it's definitely a team effort on the same page, and then we to avoid any other marital conflicts, we split up other areas of the business so that we've got our own patch as well.
Right. Now, parents aren't allowed to nominate a favourite child. We all know that. That's a rule. But winemakers are allowed to nominate a favourite wine. Do you have a favourite wine style?
I think favourite varietals would definitely be Riesling and Pinot. I mean, you probably get a lot of winemakers saying that, but I think our favourite wine probably would be the Toru, because it, was something a little bit different, and it always surprises people. So that's yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, talk us through the Tories.
Yeah, so Toru, it's an aromatic field blend that we make, and Toru is the Maori word for three, so that's where the name comes from. It started off as a tiny experimental batch in 2006, so longer ago than I would like to remember, that we were inspired by a lot of Alsatian field blends that we had, and we thought that we would have a crack at making a New Zealand version of that. So it's a co-fermented Gewürztraminer, Riesling and Pinot Gris.
Yeah, I was quite sceptical when I read about field blends, because I thought, well, you're not picking all of them at optimum rightness, but what you are getting is a character, a signature, if you like, that endures from vintage to vintage. And I must say, after tasting your field blend, your Tories, I'm a believer now. I think it's a really fascinating technique.
Yeah, we just wanted to show that people, I think that because obviously red blends were viewed, with a lot of prestige, but I think a lot of people weren't as familiar with some of the old world white blends and the level of, history and provenance beside some of those. And so that was partly what we wanted to do as well. I see Toru really pays respect to the history of this place. We've got Riesling and Gewürz planted in 79, oldest vines in Marlborough. And so for me, Toru's are wine of place,
Yeah, that's another thing. I'd love to quantify to see how, have you had an opportunity to compare your oldest vines, you say 79, Riesling, with sort of young vine material? Have you got young Riesling planted as well?
Yes, that's right, we do. So the old Riesling that we have are planted in 79, so part of the original vines that were established here. And as far as I've been able to establish, the oldest vines still going in Marlborough. So yeah, we do. We actually make two different Rieslings. So when I said I love Riesling, we've restrained ourselves by making two instead of 10. So the Riesling D comes all off the old vines, and the Riesling M comes off the younger block. And they're planted right beside one another. So it sort of takes a lot of the other differences away. And really, we can attribute most of that to vine age, I think.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Well, I can organise a tasting at some stage to compare the two. Both great wines, and I know I've both awarded them good scores from time to time. You and Jason are both ardent supporters of organics, and do you ever get a vintage, perhaps like 2022, where you're tempted to backslide?
No, if anything, I think the further you get into it, the more you realise that by creating, soil health and resilient vines, that they withstand a lot of things. And actually, a lot of the work we do in the vineyard, without going into too many details, is actually to make the skins tougher. And it's something Jason's a real believer in. And it's interesting to see in some vintages that's, brought Marlborough a few challenges of late, that actually the organic sites have actually triumphed and have caused a few people to think that maybe there might be something in this thing that we do. That's, really how wine was grown for a very long time. So no, I've actually, I would say the opposite. And I think always because we put so much work in the vineyard, you're sort of always preparing for the apocalypse because you don't have a quick fix option. So no, never look back. Haven't yet. We've started in 2007 was our first official organic vintage, and we're still trucking on with it 15 years later. So
Spoken like a true organic grower. Look, we've run out of time, so I'm going to have to wrap it up here. But thanks very much for talking today, and once again, congratulations on making the top wineries list. And I hope to see you in Auckland in October for the exhibition.
I will be there with bells on. Thank you so much.
Great, thanks, Anna.